Hello friends, it is November. I have somehow survived October, daylight savings, a US presidential election, and the slow decline into madness as all of my writer friends attempt to crank out an entire novel in 30 days. So here we are, and it being 2020, there is basically only one bright spot left, so yay Christmas! In all seriousness, I did actually want to do a Christmas gift guide kind of thing, which I've decided to split into two parts. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about sewing and sewing related gift ideas. And in the second part, which will probably happen in a couple of weeks because I have a few other videos planned, I'll be talking more about books. So anyway, I will consult my list of sewing related stocking fillers. The first thing is actually not specifically sewing related, and I didn't get for sewing purposes, and that is a sunlight or light therapy lamp. If you or anyone you know does fine handwork, you are almost certainly not working in enough light. And if there's one thing I've learned from watching Adam Savage videos, you really can't have too much or too bright a light when you're doing fine detail work with your hands. I will freely admit that I just picked the cheapest sunlight lamp off Amazon, and it's working great for me. I'm finding it much easier to work on things now that the sun sets at 4:30 in the afternoon. And I have found it's been really good for my mood as well, so that's a general thumbs up from me. If someone you care about is taking up sewing, get them a proper light. It will make such a difference. The next thing that I acquired during 2020, and I'm honestly enjoying so much, is this thread rack. If you're anything like me, you've been watching other CosTubers videos and admiring their beautiful and practical displays of thread in the background. You can just get these. They're just on Amazon. I don't know why it took me so long. If someone you love has all of their thread chucked in a weird box where they can't see it all, get them a thread rack. I was worried this would be bulky, but it actually takes up less space than the tin I used to keep all my threads in did. And also it looks amazing. And if you're getting this for someone who's just starting out and maybe doesn't have a lot of sewing supplies yet, you could fill it up with a small rainbow of threads, and I think that would make a really lovely gift. Chalk pencils. I'm not generally a fan of chalk. I've always worked with the large, chunky, triangular tailor's chalk pieces, but this is kind of historically what you would get if you had chalk for sewing with. But there's a whole bunch of other options available now. I've been enjoying this little sort of rotary marking thing. And I've also seen these great fine line mechanical chalk pencils for sewing, which honestly look amazing, and I rather hope that Santa will bring me some this year. A seam gauge. Now, this is one of those small things that I put off buying for myself for so long because I just didn't need it, and I've actually found it really incredibly useful. What I will say about this one in particular is that it is brushed aluminium, so if you have sensory things, I don't recommend this specific one, but there are different models available. Also in the category of things that I didn't think I would want, but then I got one and it turns out I use it all the time and it's really, really nice, is a point turner. This is a really simple little tool. Again, I put off buying one of these for myself for a very, very long time because I felt I just didn't need it. You know, it's not that hard to turn points out. That's what the end of your scissors is for. And then I got this and started using it. It's just really nice. It's like, would you like every single point turned out perfectly with no effort whatsoever every single time? Yes, yes I would. So that's another wonderful little stocking filler. This next one is a little bit indulgent, and basically I only have it because I really like hitting things, which is a buttonhole chisel. Now, you can get beautiful cast iron historical buttonhole chisels that cost an awful lot of money. The Tudor Tailor on Etsy does have them from time to time, but Equally, if you want something that is not as durable but still fun, this teeny tiny modern one with a plastic handle is from Clover, and it works. I suspect it will not last a terribly long amount of time, but I don't tend to do buttonholes very often, so I'm just really pleased that this thing exists. In that same range of tools from Clover, but infinitely more practical, is an awl. If you're doing any kind of historical sewing, at some point you're going to want to do eyelets, and if you want to do eyelets you need an awl. Don't make the mistake I did and buy a straight awl like this one. I got this from Merchant of Mills. It is a beautiful thing, but it is completely impractical because it only makes holes of one size, and that size is very, very small, which is great if you're, for example, working with leather, but if you want to make eyelets you want a tapered awl like this one, which flares out so you can basically make the hole as big as the fabric will allow you. I use this so much and so often. It's one of the tools I reach for the most out of everything in my sewing kit. Another thing that I had never invested in until 2020 and I'm finding incredibly useful is a tailor's ham. If this is something you're looking into, there are also sleeve rolls, which are long, thin tailor's hams for going down sleeves, and similar tubes for when you're pressing. This is an ironing tool more than a sewing tool, but I have found it so useful. Out of all the things I'm going over in this video, this is one of the few that you can actually make yourself. If you want to get a pattern, which you can find online, and some suitable fabrics, stuff it with sawdust, you can absolutely make a tailor's ham to give as a gift. One of the other things I've been getting into during lockdown and would be a good accompaniment gift if you were getting, for example, a book on pattern drafting or learning how to create your own patterns for someone, is a set of French curves. I just like having these around. They're very pleasing to look at. I think they make a nice gift. This is a slightly offbeat suggestion, but I also this year acquired for myself a shiny new rotary tool. This one wasn't that expensive, and while I mainly use it for non-sewing related crafts, if someone you care about is looking to get into corsetry, this is actually incredibly useful. Not only can you use it to cut metal bones, but it can also be used to sand down the end of plastic boning really, really easily. And I will be honest that now I have a rotary tool, a lot of problems that I am encountering in day-to-day life start looking rotary tool-able. Another gift you can consider is sewing machine feet. There are lots of weird and wonderful sewing machine feet that do all kinds of crazy things. This does require a little bit of research. You're going to have to check that the sewing machine feet you're looking at are compatible with the kind of sewing machine that your gift recipient has. But with a moderate amount of snooping, that shouldn't be too difficult. Some simple feet that may not come included with your machine, but will be very much appreciated, include a rolled hem foot and a piping or edge stitching foot. And on the fancier and more extravagant end, you have things like a ruffler foot. There are all kinds of attachments for your sewing machine that do all kinds of wild and wonderful things. And some of the sillier and more self-indulgent ones, like the ruffle foot, can make really, really nice gifts. A little bit more of a stocking filler on this one, which is these sewing clips. Now, they're called Wonder Clips. I don't actually get on with them that well. They don't work for me. I'm a pins kind of person. But I know loads and loads of people who really, really like them, and they work really well for some things. If you have someone who wants to sew with a lot of PVC or pleather materials, they're perfect. Or again, if you've got someone who's looking to get into corsetry, they are great for binding. And I know a lot of people who are considering these but aren't sure if they're going to get on with them, in which case getting them as a present is probably the best possible resolution for that, because you get to try the thing, but you don't have to justify to yourself that you're buying the thing. Possibly my attitude towards gifts is a bit weird. On the other side of the spectrum, if, like me, you are a pins person, I recently discovered these snap-on bracelets, and they're magnetic, and you put pins on them. I could never get the hang of pin cushions. I've always had my pins in a freestanding pot. This causes problems, and I actually saw someone on the Sewing Bee this year wearing a wrist pin cushion that was a magnet, and I've acquired one, and it works really, really well. Highly recommend them if you're looking for a fun gift for a sewing person in your life. I'm not actually going to recommend that you buy someone sewing scissors or fabric shears as a gift, because that's quite a personal decision. If it's like your spouse, then that's maybe something you can talk about, especially if you are wanting to spend quite a lot of money, because you can spend quite a lot of money on scissors. My basic scissor guide is, if you don't know what to get them a pair of orange handled Fiskars. If they are very serious about sewing, get them a pair of proper fabric shears from a supplier like Merchant & Mills, and get the biggest pair that they feel comfortable with. However, if you know that someone sews but they're not a beginner and you don't have that kind of close relationship to have a conversation about buying them a £50 pair of scissors, pinking shears. Pinking shears come in zigzag and scalloped varieties and are so much fun. I love pinking the edges of things, and it's the kind of thing that you wouldn't necessarily buy for yourself, or if you did, they might be 5 or 6 years old by now and not that sharp anymore, but also you don't want to throw them away because they're useful. Pinking shears are a nice gift for most people, especially something like the scalloped ones where they're a bit more decorative. And then the final thing I want to talk about is actually not a sewing related gift per se, but has turned out to be unexpectedly really useful, which is that I got this tray. This is it here. So this tray came in one of my subscription boxes, and I was like, oh well, I'm clearly selling this on, because what am I going to do with a little tea tray thing? That's useless. And then I put all my sewing stuff on it, and now I can carry my thread and needles and pins and scissors and tape measure and beeswax and all around the house. So am I working downstairs on the sofa? I just carry the tray. Am I working up at my desk? Carry the tray up here. Do I need to swap bits out? I just take it over to my sewing table and exchange whatever. This has changed my life. Which is probably a good indicator of how weird 2020 has been, that one of the biggest revelations has been the introduction of a small plastic tray. Oh well. So I hope that's given you some ideas for the gift-giving season. Whether you celebrate Christmas or another holiday, or don't celebrate anything at all and just like presents. Whatever the gift-giving occasion that's coming up for you, I hope that's given you some ideas. There's almost certainly a whole bunch more stuff that I've missed or forgotten or possibly don't own for myself, in which case please feel free to leave suggestions in the comments down below. Certainly I'm always looking out for new sewing thingies to try, so I at least will appreciate that a great deal. In the description box below you will find links to many, if not all, of the things that I've shown you in this video. Those are Amazon affiliate links, so if you use them to do any shopping, I do earn a small commission. It's like 3 or 4 pence for each thing. It's an expensive time of year, support the channel. And on that note, there's also a link to my Ko-fi page where you can make a one-off financial donation to support the channel and help it grow. I will be completely honest and say that Ko-fi pretty much covers dreamies for Thursday and not a lot else. But every little bit is appreciated, and it's been a challenging year to have 2 hobbies that involve quite a lot of stuff. So if you are willing and able to make a donation, it's hugely appreciated. And as previously stated, there will be a second gift guide video coming up in a week or 2, which will be almost completely focused on books that I recommend, and also a couple of books that I'm hoping to get for Christmas this year. There are so many excellent sewing books that I could talk about that I couldn't fit them all into one video along with all the other stuff, so they get a video all of their own. And I hope you will click the subscribe button down below and join us for that too. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope 2020 is not completely crushed your soul, spirit and will to live, and I will catch you next time. Oops, sorry. Unicorn. No, I'm making it worse. I'm making it worse.